Good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock or 12:05 on a Friday afternoon, and you are watching and listening to the Fire Factor Show, where we have amazing interviews with amazing people doing amazing things, especially here in the Fire family. And I'm an absolute honor to have with me our marketing lead, Mark Ackerman, in the show. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Ivan. Happy to be here.
All right. And for those of you who don't know, Mark is actually from Portugal. He lives in Lisbon. Is that correct, Mark?
Yeah, that's right. Originally from Cape Town, so I grew up there. But I've been in Lisbon the last couple of years now.
Okay. And how's the weather between the two? Are they similar or is it completely different?
I feel like it's much colder here.
Okay, good. I was thinking that it would be sunny in Portugal and...
No, it is actually. We're just in the middle of winter and we had a cold couple of days, but it's pretty similar, yeah.
Cool, Mark. I want to have the audience get to know you a little bit better. I always like to take this from the approach of looking at you as a superhero, and then you tell us your backstory. Where did Mark come from? How did you get involved with marketing?
So I started with marketing. I think it was about 12 years ago. So I came from a completely different background, and I was looking to start something new, and essentially just kind of started out at the bottom in the agency environment in Cape Town. So my first sort of stop was at Synergize, which there I started as an intern, an account manager, kind of managing tons of clients with Sean Jordan, who's now very established in the South African online marketing scene, I guess, and now running Hurrah. And I worked under Robin Fishley, who was he is one of the top SEOs in the country. So from when I started out as an account manager, my aim was always to understand how to be a specialist and to really have the technical knowledge behind me when managing accounts. So I made it part of my journey to learn all the technical aspects of online marketing while moving kind of up the ranks there. I switched over while at Synergize to specialize in SEO and so search engine optimization. So I really got a good background in that field. And then after a couple of years there, I moved over to Quirk, which at the time was the largest digital marketing agency in Africa, and kind of went on to manage the SEO department there. So during that time, that's really where I developed a great love for marketing and an understanding of how to work with the bigger clients and that kind of thing. So we worked with the Capitec banks, the Pam Goldings, and that kind of thing. And and then went on to start my own company and eventually join Fio. So I'm very happy to be running the department there now. Yeah.
So before we dig into your relationship with Fio and what you're doing there, are you comfortable with talking to us and sharing with us some of the exciting projects that you've done before and the results that you got?
Yeah, sure. Ivan, have we lost you or are you? Okay, there you're back. And now you're gone. Hi. Okay. So some of the projects, I think I've been really privileged, I think, in the last couple of years to work with some really great clients. So, I think some of the more notable, that we've got at the moment, say, for example, Alan Gray. So I've been working with Alan Gray for the last sort of 5 or 6 years. And over this time, we really got some great results for them, and it's been a real privilege to work with that team. They're just quite responsive. They realized that they needed to focus on online marketing. So they're quite traditional in their approach to marketing, and over the last couple of years, they've really transformed that and made a massive difference, to their reach online. And we were a part of that. what I can say is, within the first year of running an SEO campaign for them, we increased the organic traffic to the website by 59,000 users per month. Through the efforts of sort of aligning their content strategy and building their offline authority, ensuring that we were associating with the right kinds of websites online. So really, I think a great result for clients, and I think they saw a really good ROI from that. And then another one was storage. So, we've also been working with storage for quite a while. And, during the years that we've worked with them, we've now, helped them, we've assisted them to build their own online team. And actually from the end of this month, they will be taking on, their SEO and their online marketing, completely internally. So, we're happy that, they've gotten to that point and that we were able to assist them in the meantime. But, in the time that we've been helping them, I mean, we have seen massive increases in terms of the online conversions. Within the first year of running that campaign, I mean, we saw month-to-month increases of 40%, in traffic, and similarly in conversions. I mean, we're looking at around 30% increase in conversions, and again, I think client was very happy with that, and we were very happy with that as a team. So I think internally we're really focused on just trying to give our clients the best results within the shortest amount of time possible. So Ivan, I think we've lost you. Okay. Okay, so now Ivan's messaging me and he's telling me to carry on from where I started with Fio. So actually I started with Fio sort of, what was it? Around 2.5 years ago. I was, running my own company and, had been for a number of years. And, we had a decent client base and, kind of looking to take the next step, and that's where I met AJ Wasserman, who is the CEO of the Fio Group, and we got to chatting. I mean, this was in the beginning stages as Fio was being conceptualized, and we essentially got to chatting and just realized that we were really aligned in our goals and what we were looking to achieve. And that, marketing in terms of the Fio Group, of course, is an essential part of the success to that business. So we immediately saw an opportunity. We started chatting, and a short time later, I moved to Portugal. So we met in Stellenbosch in South Africa, and we discussed, the opportunities there. Shortly after I moved to Portugal, we continued discussions and started our alignment to officially launch in March of 2020. So that's when we, did the, official rebranding and merged the companies and that kind of thing. And, we became Fio Marketing. Yeah.
Awesome. Can you talk to me about your team what team did you initially start with, and what team are you looking to develop in the future in the next couple of months?
Yeah, so over the last couple of years, I mean, we were operating, mostly remotely and like with a flexible, workforce structure. So, essentially up until when we started with Fio, I mean, we had 2 employees, sort of on board full time that were assisting me and, purely focused on SEO. And then outside of that, we were focused on the, paid media as a secondary sort of, core service offering. Anything outside of that was really outsourced and managed internally. So we had an outsource network, and we managed that quite effectively. I think from the connections that we'd built up in Cape Town, and across South Africa, but specifically in the agency environment in Cape Town over those years. So from there, yeah.
Give us an overview of the team that you currently have, like Laura, Stephen, Graham, etc., and what their functions are in your team.
Yeah. So, in terms of the team currently, of course, it's, myself and AJ, and, AJ is responsible for the business development and all that kind of thing. Well, as am I, but he's generally steering the ship on the broader level, and then I'm looking at the daily operations and as well as growth and clients and this kind of thing. Then we have Lucian, who is he's our strategic guru. I mean, essentially, he's got over 20 years experience in the space. He's worked with, Samsung and Huawei and all these brands, currently working on ZTE, just incredibly experienced across the board strategist, who we turn to for a lot of the big ideas. We have Laura, who's joined us as the social media lead, and she has the incredibly successful blog Harassed Mom, which he's been running for ages. It's like the last 14 years. And we actually interacted with her a number of times around the blog, and that kind of thing before, and we got to chatting, and she joined us as a social media lead. She's really good at just translating the brand's messaging online, in a way that the audience really connects with. And then outside of that, we've got Louis, who's joined us as an SEO specialist. He's been conducting SEO for quite some time. We have Dan Colosso, who's doing our paid media, incredibly experienced there. He's run campaigns for some of the biggest brands that you can think of, the Red Bulls, Asics, all this kind of thing. So just really quite adept at getting results for clients from grassroots right up to the sort of tier one corporates. So he understands how to work with budgets and to connect with the audience that way. We have Grant, who's doing our copywriting. I've been working with Grant personally for around 10 years. So trust him implicitly. He's great with the copy. And we've got Zianda, who's working with us in the SEO team. And I hope I'm not leaving anyone out. But of course, Ivan, you on the communications front. Yeah.
And we got Marnus as well, who's a great videographer as well, and he does animations for us.
Yes, absolutely. We've got Marnus doing the animations. Oh, and Stephen, of course, head of dev. So he does like all the software, website development, app development, CMS development, and also been working with Stephen for ages. And he just knows how to get things done right. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's talk about marketing. Obviously, Mark, the whole world is in a certain space. We all share. That's one thing we all have in common as businesses. We have a new way of business, a new way of conducting business, new ways of communicating. And so that will obviously influence the completely new ways and approaches that we get clients. And with the new ways of communicating and everything moving online, I think there is now a massive opportunity for people to market and communicate online. Would you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, within the last year, of course, with the situation that we're in, there's been a massive migration online, and of course, that's changing the way the business operates, within the workforce and in terms of how they market, how they get new business and that kind of thing. And I think what we're finding over this time is that, there's really quite a big split. There's, like a divide between how it's affected companies. And the one is that either you get companies that are completely overwhelmed, If you think about like grocery stores or, that kind of thing, where actually the demand has shot up to such a degree that they can hardly handle, and manage that growth effectively, right? For when that maybe drops or whatever it might be. DIYs, for example, like another industry, which, we've seen that. And then, of course, I think the other side of it is the companies where they've seen a complete drop off. And they aren't getting the inquiries that they need. And, so, I mean, think about like travel or, hospitality, those kinds of industries have really taken a hard knock. So we really saw quite a massive drop off in terms of like, travel and game lodges and that kind of thing. Those kind of companies are taking a knock. But there's a lot, I mean, that can be done around that. But just some stats there. So, DIY products and home products, they saw a 70% increase in the first quarter of 2020. Overall.
Wow.
Toys and learning products, over 35% increase in digital orders in the first quarter of 2020. Saw huge drops in luxury items, people tightening their belts, of course, that kind of thing. And then, for example, Netflix saw 26 million new subscribers in the first half of 2020. So
sure, that's crazy.
The whole landscape is just it's just gone topsy-turvy. It's
So if I'm a business and I'm struggling, it doesn't seem like things are really going to change, at least for the next 6 to 9 months. And so if my business is struggling, can you market anything, or would you advise people to maybe look at changing their offerings? Definitely that there's a lot more engagement that's done online, because anything that's been done person to person or that kind of thing needs to change. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I think obviously it's important to be realistic, and there's some industries where, marketing for business right now just does not make sense. So, if you're talking, tours within countries where there's lockdown or whatever, of course, throwing a big paid media budget towards that, doesn't make sense. But I think, like, broadly speaking, the advice that we've been giving to our clients in this time, and where we're seeing businesses really, businesses that are doing well, they are, in these times, they're taking a supportive stance. So, really truly understanding what your audience is going through in these times, and aligning your offering with that, can really make a huge difference in how well you convert. For example, like offering your customers sort of payment plans. Even if you're a service-based offering and you do a service within the first month, you can say to your clients, okay, you have the option to pay me over the next year, and you can do it like this to help your target audience to actually get through these times. I think, like, what we're doing right now, and I think a big focus for us is really focusing on building relationships. So, I mean, this is, it's outside of just online marketing, but, this is a time now for building for when, the market starts to recover, that you're in the right position. So, really our focus, for example, is to build relationships with the smaller clients, to grow with them, to help them to be in a good position for growth when the market opens up again, and things can really take off. So I think that's really an important one. And then the other one was education. So I think any way that you can adapt your offering to educate your market to be able to do things on their own to help them save expenses on their side. Like maybe, instead of having to use expensive services, they might be able to do certain things internally. So, the kinds of content online we see doing very, very well in this time is educational content, webinars, this kind of thing, where you're giving, you know what I mean, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these kinds of things I think can make a big difference.
Okay. Let's talk about marketing in a pandemic. What are some of the things and the approaches that you take to market any business? Do you have a template that you work through? Are there some key things that's important? Like, for instance, SEO is going to be important, especially to impact search. Do you believe that content is going to be important? Articles, content in terms of videos, articles, those kind of things. What kind of marketing elements do you see working well right now? If you were to take any business, what are some of the things that you look at that needs to be done by a business?
Okay, so I'll do my best to really give some sort of actionable advice, but then just to speak to that, it's a very broad question. So how small businesses are being affected is very different to how the corporates are being affected. So
right.
What we're seeing we're seeing different reactions within the markets that are negatively affected. So the corporates are, the multinational corporates are focused. I mean, they've got, obviously more budget to be able to deal with these kinds of things, but they're, but much higher overheads. So they're focusing their budgets on key target regions, so for example, the US and, Europe and that kind of thing, and not so much in South Africa. So they're kind of restricting budgets on their front, but then also the smaller businesses, of course, they don't have the, they just don't have any excess budgets to be, and they're less willing to bet on campaigns which don't pay off right away, So that's kind of the thing. So, and then how you approach the marketing aspects of your business, I think depends very much on what your business is. So depending on the business, we will recommend different things. But say, for example, your business is location-based and you've got a very small budget. You want to start getting eyes on your business. Say, for example, you might be like a dentist, or a doctor, a lawyer, or this kind of thing. People will be very likely to either, come to your office or look for somebody that's in the area, of where you are. In those cases, I mean, look, we always recommend to have a website, even if it's a 5-pager and, you build it yourself. It's always good to have a website. It's just your online business card. But within that, just starting up a Google map, optimizing it correctly, and and making sure that people are leaving reviews on your Google map can make a massive difference. So, then really what you're doing is you're targeting people in your area that are typing, for example, that are looking for your service plus the area name. Then you're very likely to show up. People can find you easily, and something as simple as that can really make a fundamental difference for what you're doing, and it doesn't have to cost a whole lot. So we're finding a service like that to be really helpful. But then also, we've got a few different avenues that we can look at. So what we are finding these days is that clients are less likely to go with a full service offering, which would include social media advertising and paid media advertising and an SEO campaign. So, they with a smaller budget, they might tend to go with one or the other. So, one route we might go is to find a sustainable paid media solution. And what I mean by that is to create a campaign that you test small budgets and you get proof of concept, with your business. So you create your landing page, you start a campaign which targets your audience with a very small budget. And once you see that you start getting the return that you need, then you can start confidently increasing your, spend with Google or Facebook or LinkedIn or whoever it is that you're spending with, and knowing that you're going to get that return. So, as a single channel, like that can be quite effective. And then for other businesses, it might be the social media. It might be something which really gets a lot of traction online. It could be architecture based or interior design or something like that, where it really makes sense that if you're on like Instagram or Facebook or something like that, you're showing off fantastic imagery around the stuff that you're doing. That as a single channel can, really be worth investing a little bit of budget in, driving people to your website, or just, direct contact from social media. It's yeah. So it kind of depends on the industry. It's a little bit tricky to give the full recommendation there.
But you would say, listen, a website is definitely a key thing to have. Let's say I'm looking at marketing my business. Maybe I've just started it, and I have this question of: am I going to put money into a website, or am I going to put it into social? In other words, social platforms and content and marketing, maybe ads.
Yeah.
If I had to choose between those two, which one would you say I have to rather have than the other?
I would say,
like there's going to be some kind of financial investment that you make. In your if you have a website, it doesn't help you have a website if you don't have SEO or some kind of marketing that gets people there. Yeah. Maybe it's a blog post, etc. Or it's going to be you have a Facebook page with the shop. Maybe you have a community, but there's still going to be some kind of marketing that needs to be done there.
I think, in terms of, sorry, in terms of just trust, right? And, website for me is incredibly important. So, I have seen, in these times, and especially like here in Europe and that kind of thing, where you have, home delivery services and that kind of thing, which only operate, say, on Instagram, and I always find it quite interesting because, they kind of get this grassroots following, and, people, if the product is just right, they do sign up and it can work. But, just in terms of the general, online sentiment, I guess, is just, having that website, being able to research. What people often do is they find you on social media, and the first thing they do is either click through to your website from social media to sort of get reassurance of who you are, that they can find you somewhere, like that they can
got a digital home somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say website first, and then build out from there, in 99% of the cases. Yeah.
We got some of the team chiming in here. Laura says in the comments, it all starts with the website you own. It is your real estate. And for both Laura and myself, coming from the blogging world as well, I think, if you have a website in terms of SEO, etc., a website with a blog functionality is very dynamic, and you can have lots of fun with, communicating through that, etc., especially if you already have a client list and you want to upsell or something like that, and you send them just your blog post just to show them what's developing. Maybe you communicate how you're adapting to the current environment, etc. Talking about adapting, Lucian says it has to start with adapting internally. If a business doesn't adapt first, changing the way it markets itself will have short-term results. And that's a good point. I think today, what businesses, if businesses see they struggle through this period, would you say, Mark, we spoke a lot about internally, and we've heard a lot of speak from the business coaching community, etc., the fact that you have to pivot. Like if you were location-based, especially when we had the hard lockdown, a lot of businesses had to move online, and they had to start having a shop that people can go and click and shop online. It can be delivered to their house. It's safer. Even in the current environment, it's safer to do shopping that way than to go to, for instance, Pick n Pay is literally 200 meters away from me, but it is safer for me to go onto their online shop, get my stuff, and they deliver it. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, businesses have to adapt and look at saying, listen, how can I offer what I do online or virtual, because that's where we're going. And would you agree to that? And then how do I market that services?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's absolutely true. And, I know that exact situation where you're shopping online and the shop is literally, less than a kilometer down the road. But I think, the most important question is how do you get in front of your audience online and answer the questions that they're asking? How do you add value to them and proactively, establish yourself as a thought leader? So there's various channels that you can do that, various different ways that you can do that. But really, it's understanding your audience, and I know, Lucian would agree with this 100%, but you really, down to the T, you have to understand who is it that I'm marketing to, what value exactly do they see in my business, in my product, in my service, and how can I expand on that? What are the direct and indirect content pillars, that I can address with my target audience that would really speak to their needs and add value. So, whether that's through your blog, on your websites, and you're answering the questions that your audience has, or whether you're doing that on social media and promoting it that way, it really depends on your niche and your audience. Yeah.
So as a team here at Fio, content is very important. It's something that we're constantly developing and putting out there. What kind of content do you see is the most popular, or is consumed the most, and how does that affect business? How does that convert to sales for the client?
Yeah, so you get the different content pillars. So if you're developing a content strategy internally for your business, there's a few things to consider. The one is evergreen content, right? So what kind of questions are your audience always going to be asking around your business? What are the misconceptions, the misunderstandings? What are the logistical problems that people might experience when using your business, your service or your offering? So it's very important to look at these topics and to write articles around that, and to keep that on site, because you put that article on once, it becomes visible in search, and it's always there. It'll keep gaining value. It'll save you time and get people to your website. The other is the more sort of time-based content. So content. If you're running a fashion brand, if you're selling clothes online, you might be writing seasonal content around the trends for that season, and how you manage that content. Not writing a new article every month or every year, just updating that article. That's something you can look at. But people, they arrive on your website, you're establishing yourself as a thought leader by letting them know what the trends for that season are. Within that article, you can then be letting people know that you have, garments within this trend style available on your website, and they can click here to go through to that. It's, increases engagement that way. And then, you can also be looking at, informative guides and that kind of thing. So again, like on the educational front, so you can be, writing how-to guides, extensive pieces of content, well-researched, where, essentially you just keep that on a resource hub on your website. Somebody types in their email address, it gets emailed to them. You build your email database, and you're really, giving great value to your audience. It's kind of like a win-win.
Mark, you are probably in our team, you're like the first port of call, or the first contact in the whole process when people work with Fio Marketing. So if a new client comes on board, and before I mention that, let's just talk about, we are very passionate about starting and initiating relationships with small companies that are looking to grow, and for us to grow with them, that by the time they are more successful and bigger, then we are obviously their choice of relationship that they have. So that's one thing I think is very important to communicate. So if a new client gets on board or contacts us and starts communicating with us, what is the onboarding process with the team, especially with you being the first protocol? What will a client's experience be like when they start engaging with Fio?
Yeah, so I think the important thing, like our USP as Fio is that we're a group of specialists working together to have a holistic understanding of the business, right? So, and this is something I find quite refreshing about working with the marketing department here, is that we're not just trying to sell in big retainers on the marketing front and just shoot from the hip and hope for the best. What we do when a new client comes on board and starts engaging with Fio, the first step is for them to speak to one of our business consultants. So what we're really doing there is gaining an understanding of the business from top to bottom. What is the financial state of the business? I mean, we're talking more specifically now with the smaller businesses, but what is the financial state of the business? What do the projections look like? What is the product? What is the viability of the product? And what is required for the business to grow sustainably? So, once the business consultants understand what it is that the business requires, they then, within, the Fio environment, then allocate teams to come in and then consult. So really more and more we're moving towards being a consultancy first, supported by services which we implement at a very high level, right? So then next step is for client to sit with a consultant from each of the divisions to understand what would be required. Say, for example, they come to marketing and we consult with them, we let them know what we believe would be the best strategy for them, and if client agrees and we work within a budget that's realistic to get the returns that are needed, then we move forward, and that's it.
I think it's important to highlight just what you mentioned there. When you engage with Fio, we're not going to sell you the biggest, most comprehensive package out the bat. We're going to find out what do you really need and give you that first, and you grow into the rest of our offerings if that is something that is needed. Mark, have you found marketing being different in different countries? Because obviously we work internationally, and some marketing in the US would be different than marketing in South Africa or Australia.
Look, there are major differences in terms of competitiveness and, of course, in terms of budget, what you pay to be visible and the effort that it takes to be visible. So, in the European and the US markets, you will find that it takes a lot more effort to be visible, but the return is much higher. So, South Africa, you'll pay less to be visible in those areas, but the return is a bit lower, so it evens out. So in terms of the positioning and the audience, of course there are massive differences in audience and what the audience expects to see content-wise and that kind of thing. And yes, I would say that there are differences there. The most challenging campaigns for us are really the campaigns where we run multinational campaigns and we need to be visible in multiple countries across multiple languages. So that for us is the most challenging. But to be able to adapt from one region to another is easy enough. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, what does this year look like for you and for your team in terms of kind of prospects that you're looking forward to for this year, people that you're going to onboard in the team, just the growth of the marketing team, etc.?
Yeah, so we're very excited about this year. Last year we saw a 280% increase in growth, across the board, which we were very happy with. And considering considering the times that we're in, I think we're especially proud of that. And, we're looking to, essentially build on that throughout the course of this year. We're currently growing the team. So, we're looking at bringing on, another 3 new specialists by March, which we're very excited about there. And otherwise, we're really focusing on building our culture and, building our internal processes, our internal CRMs and this kind of thing. So, which are really complex. I mean, the company dynamics are quite complex, and we're doing something I really think that hasn't been done before. So, when we have a challenge, there's not always just a simple answer out there of something, where we can just Google and find it out. We've got to, we figure it out, we test, and we implement. But, I mean, we have some really great clients coming on board, in the next few months, and we're just happy about it.
Awesome. And then I want to ask you a question, but before I do that and you answer, for those that are watching, if you have any questions for Mark, please put it in the comments right now. We want to do some Q&A if possible, and then we'll answer the questions for you. Mark, can you talk to us in terms of strategy and what the marketing division is looking for? What kind of clients are we looking to work with in the next, say, 6 months?
Quite honestly, clients that are doing, any kind of online deliveries and that kind of thing are gold for us. We can really take a company like that and turn it around. But really, entrepreneurial business is our specialty, and it can be across any service or product in any region. This is, I think, the beauty of where we're working in the marketing space. So, currently we're just looking at the international markets. We're looking to engage with entrepreneurial businesses, and it can be anyone across the board.
Great stuff. Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for hanging out with me today. I hope you had lots of fun, and I think the viewer will get a lot of insight in terms of how do we market in this environment that we're in, and kind of how does Fio work with clients, and how can we help them. So I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated it. I love working with you, and I'm excited to always engage with you. And Mark is working with me and helping me with one of my personal projects as well, and very excited about that. So Mark, thank you very much, and you should have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ivan. It was great to be here. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. See you guys next week at Thursday at 10 o'clock. Oh, wait, Mark.
Yeah.
We got a quick question here. How do you suggest we stay relevant in our businesses and the way we communicate our services?
Stay relevant. Well, I think the relevance comes from understanding the audience, right? So, and in taking a supportive position, I think, as far as possible. So I think if you're really understanding who your audience is, what they're wanting, and the kinds of content that they would be looking for online, the kinds of questions that they're looking to have answered online, I would say that's key to the relevance. What is their age? What is the demographic? What are their challenges? This kind of thing. I would say that's very important, and how you research that, is up to you. But there's plenty of ways to get that data and to work with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mark, and I'll see you in our meeting later today.
I'll see you in a bit. Thanks, Ivan.
Cheers, man. Thank you, guys. Cheers, everyone. See you guys next week.